What is going on? This is Tyler Smith with Intrinsecus. Glad to have you back. Glad to have you listening to a podcast where we build culture not only on intrinsic motivation, but also unplugging from the matrix. As a prime story has come about in the news, I'm going to kick off this episode with the quote unquote Facebook server malfunction, where Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger was down for roughly 6 hours and 15 minutes, I believe, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. Of course, there's a lot of politics. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that goes into why the servers went down. This is not that type of podcast. If you want to listen to something like that, I suggest you reach out to Tim Pool on his podcast, Timcast IRL. Listen to Joe Rogan. Listen to a whole bunch of people that do those type of commentaries. But on the sense of culture and sense of intrinsic motivation, on the sense of unplugging from the matrix, on the sense of, hey, we need to become better humans and less humanoid, less droid-like, less cyborg-like. Because essentially with cell phones in our hands, we're cyborgs, let's just be honest. But I had a friend. I was going to work and we went to lunch together. She told me a very interesting story that I never thought I would hear. So she has a friend, a mother, 2 kids. And during the Facebook shutdown, my coworker's friend texted her and said, "Oh my gosh, I finally was able to take a nap during the shutdown." Now, I'm going to give you more context to the story. She didn't take a nap because her kids went to sleep. She took a nap because she had nothing else to do. Oh, wait. We have an interesting story. Let me go ahead and repeat that. She did not take a nap because of her kids going to sleep because they're addicted to their cell phones. She was able to take a nap because she had nothing to do. She had no reason to be on her cell phone because Facebook was down, Instagram was down. What's she gonna do? Well, I guess I'm gonna take a sleep. I'm gonna take a slumber. What kind of world do we live in where a mother of 2 kids needs a multi-billion-dollar, if not trillion-dollar, multinational corporation to shut down for 6 hours to go to sleep? It is what it is. Just everyone take that for food for thought. I'm pretty sure everyone's going to have their own thoughts on it. They're going to have their own commentary on it. Take that story, tell it to your friends, tell it to your parents, tell it to your siblings, tell it to your coworkers, and see what they think. And ask them, do you think we need a break from the Matrix? Now, I do understand the Matrix has helped us, it has dramatically and drastically pushed the human race forward. But again, too much of a good thing is bad. Too much water, you die. Too much weed, well, depending on the person, you may have an empty fridge when you wake up. But again, going back to why I had this podcast, why I'm trying to spread culture of living for yourself, finding the meaning of life within yourself, finding the why to your existence within yourself. To keep in line with that, I have 3 quotes from 3 historical figures. You may know them, you may hate them, you may like them, you may never heard of them. It's fine. And hopefully, if you never heard of them, I will say something where you want to go do your own research and you may find a lot of insight into what they do and why they do it. So, the first one being Nietzsche. Now, Nietzsche, philosopher, very controversial, especially nowadays for some of his thoughts. He pretty much said God is dead and we buried him. It was a sense of saying, how Europeans dealt with Christianity and pretty much how they used it for selfish things. I don't want to get too much into the politics of Nietzsche because again, he's a very controversial figure, but he did have a lot of letters that we have put together in current times, and now it's a book called Beyond Good and Evil. It's an audio book. I'm sorry, it's a book, and there's an audio book version. It's about 8 hours. So if you're ever doing a long road trip, feel free to go on YouTube and listen to it. Um, a lot of things will rack your brain. He says some very profound things from an outsider looking into uh, 1800s Europe. So I believe that's when he was around. But the quote that he has, which I think is quite interesting, is the following: He who fights with monsters might take care lest he thereby become a monster. Oh wait, oh wait. I think I need to repeat that. He who fights with monsters might take care lest he thereby become a monster. That's the first half of it. The second half of his quote goes, and when you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. Now I'm gonna spice it up. Not really spice it up. I'm gonna translate it so most modern people can understand it. He who fights a monster might need to be careful, for he may become a monster. And when you gaze long into the abyss, just know the abyss also gazes upon you. So let's kind of break this down into two, and why I kind of like this quote, and I find it very profound. He who fights with monsters might take care lest he thereby become a monster. How many times have you became the very thing you said you will hate? Oh, I'm sorry, you become the very thing you hate. How many people had abusive parents and they became abusive? How many people had terrible relationships and then just to find out that they became a terrible partner in the future? Like, you could have had a fantastic, relationship in college. You were a great boyfriend, you're a great girlfriend, and your other cheated on you, did something terrible, and it hurt you and it scarred you, and you battled with the demons and you battled with forgiveness and you try to overcome and you try to mature, and then 5 years down the line you're the a-hole. Not saying it happens to everyone, it happens to some people. How many times do people say, oh my gosh, I hate drama, but then you find yourself gossiping? I'm at fault for that one. I fall into that trap a lot. I'm like, oh, I hate drama. Also, I'm like, yo, dude, did you see what happened over there? Dog, I know, it's crazy. And again, I fall into that same trap. But this is really something quite interesting, because when we say he who fights with monsters might take care lest he thereby become a monster, I gave some examples of, relationships or gossiping, dropping the tea, whatever people call it nowadays. How many times in your life have you seen other people, or this has happened to you, where what you see on social media amplifies? Like, you say you're a happy person, out of you don't want to be angry, you don't want to be a jealous person, you don't want to be a catty person. And then you're on social media and you see someone possibly fake flexing, and you go, I want to be like that person. And then you get jealous. But then you also make fun of other people for being jealous on social media. This is a real thing. Not too many people can see themselves in the mirror when they are on social media. I think it's because I had the awareness of myself, where I've caught myself in these things. I've seen other people do it. And it's so interesting to hear someone say at 8 o'clock, I never want to be this person. This type of person irritates me. Oh my gosh, I saw this on the internet and it drove me crazy. And at 8:04, they're saying something that aligns with the very thing they say that they can't stand. So that's kind of what that quote means to me when it comes to social media. It comes to nowadays. A lot of people say, here's a good one. I've seen it so many times. People say, "Oh, I'm not jealous. I care for myself. I have confidence. I love myself. And I can't stand people who bring drama into life, or they're just petty and they're jealous." And then one person irritates them, and they turn straight petty. One person flicks them off on a highway, and they're ready to scream and cuss someone out they don't even know. Be careful what monsters you say you don't want to be, and be careful of the monsters you say you fight, because that monster might be you. And the second part is, and when you gaze long into abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. Now, this one I think I can drive home a little bit better. I think the monster one, I think for that one, you have to do a little bit of soul searching to define what in your life is the monster you say you're fighting. But when you look in the mirror, it's you're really the monster, or that you have become the monster you said you want to fight. But again, the second part of this quote, I think I can drive home a lot better. Facebook has gotten in trouble multiple times for social engineering. And not the social engineering for phishing, where cyber attacks happen. Well, majority of American cyber attacks, because people just click on links everywhere. I'm not talking about the social engineering that makes you want to, buy an extra bag of almonds at the grocery store. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the social engineering where Facebook wants to retain screen time. If they can increase screen retention, have higher screen time retention, they can push more ads. And they found out a long time ago that rage bait or rage keeps more people on the platform. They found out that brutality videos would just keep people on the platform longer. How many people who listen, it may only be like 30 y'all, that's fine. I appreciate it though. But how many of you guys remember maybe 2010, 2011, 2012 Facebook, where it was the wild, wild west? There's some raunchy stuff on the platform, but you were hooked. You're like, oh my gosh, I gotta stay here. Oh my gosh, you see this meme? I saw so many like Jesus porn things. I was like, this is insane. Like what am I looking at? How is this even legal? Well, not legal, but like, how is this even on this platform? And they found out that they were able to increase screen time retention, which they were then able to push ads. So one, they're making money off selling their data, which is a whole nother thing I may or may not go into because it's not a tech podcast, but they're selling their data, making money, and then they are, pushing ads to you, which makes some money when people, buy Facebook ads from them. And now we have a situation where we had a whistleblower recently said Facebook cares more about profits than people. And now she's calling for more censorship. Again, this is not a political podcast. There are people out there who have intellectual debates on whether Facebook should be censoring more. I'm not going to get into that. But again, we do have a whistleblower who may testify in front of Congress, the United States Congress, and pretty much say, hey, Facebook needs to be regulated. They care more about profits than the protection of people. Guys, this is real. And it's a dark abyss. This is a very dark hole. And all Facebook and Instagram and everybody else cares is screen retention. This abyss is not even dark. It's a white screen, or, a blue screen, or whatever whatever color their background of their website is. It's an abyss, and it's staring into you. You want to know how it's staring into you? What do you like? What do your friends like? What can I push you to make you stay just a little bit longer? Oh, and here's some cookies. Again, it's not a tech website, but here's some cookies. Remember that thing on Amazon you was looking at? Yo, it's on your screen right now. You may want to buy that. But guess what? Guess who just made some money off that? Facebook is Amazon is teaming up with them, right? Yo, that couple hundred pixels, it ain't cheap, and it ain't free either. So be careful, guys. Be careful what you look into. And now that's just the social media part. Let's talk about money. America has become hyper individualistic. Again, not going to get into politics. Not going to get into the philosophy of it. But we have bred a culture of individualism. We have bred a culture of the climb, aka Miley Cyrus. Shout out to her. No, not really. But again, we have I wouldn't say validated. We have given credence to the hustle, the rat race, entrepreneurship, get up and grind, hustle, hustle, hustle. And some people just chase money, and they get 40 years old and now they don't have a significant other, and they want a child but they can't have a child. Granted, we have a lot of kids in orphanages that need help, but again, isn't a political podcast. But be careful of that dark pit of your bank account that you look into, because it will look back to you, and then you'll become the monster of a money hungry person. Same thing with alcoholism. When you stare down that bottle, the bottle's staring back at you, and one of you is going to win, not both. So be careful with what your vice is, because your vice may quickly turn into an abyss, and when that abyss is staring at you, you may quickly become a monster, and that very monster you become might chain you to a cave, and all sense of reality at that point is lost, and you have lost yourself, and it takes a whole lot of work to regain not only your soul but your mind. Now, backpedaling a little bit to social media, and also just real life. There's another individual, Mark Twain. A lot of people might know him. He's a very famous author. If you're over the age of, I don't know, maybe 24, 25, you should have read his books in middle school, high school, maybe elementary school, depending where you're at. But he made a very interesting quote that goes, "Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and beat you with experience." Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Might need to repeat that one for somebody. Somebody might need to hear that one again. Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to the level and beat you with experience. Let's talk about trolls for a second. Let's talk about them people who they just know exactly what to say on the internet, and they can steal your joy. They can steal your happiness. We all know that person who can just say one thing, comment on your picture, and your whole day is ruined. Now, why you don't block them or just get off social media? Hey, that's just me. Do you, boo boo? But at the end of the day, we all know someone. Maybe not all of us. Majority of us know someone that can just take either your or someone else's joy away. How many times have you seen people utterly break down because of a nasty comment, and then they report somebody, or they decide to argue in the comments? And once you stoop to that person's level, you lost. There is no winning. I've seen a lot of people get into political fights. Again, I'm not going to pick sides when it comes to political arguments on social media, but no one wins that. Once you start getting to finger pointing and saying you're stupid and you're this, you're that, no one wins at all. But you know who does win? Facebook, who just increased their screen time. Twitter, who just increased their screen time retention. All this time while you're arguing with someone, you lost. And that person lost too. And guess who won? Facebook, because Facebook's stupid. Facebook does not care, or social media does not care about people's sanity. So just understand that. So never argue with stupid people. And when I say Facebook, obviously Mark Zuckerberg's extremely smart. If he wasn't smart, he wouldn't have the company that he has. Granted, we can talk about certain industries propping it up, but not going to go there right now. And again, this is not that type of podcast. But there are people who are going to make sure you stay on, and those people are not smart. They get told what to do, and they sit there and they just see a screen and they're like, okay, they're fighting, whatever. And they're beating you with the experience of keeping you on, and now you lost. Now, this last quote I want to get into is by Edgar Allan Poe. He's a poet during the Romantic era. Not romantic like rom-coms. This isn't early 2000s Matthew McConaughey. Not that type of romantic stuff. More of the dark stuff. But he says something that again I find so interesting, and I wish that we taught these things more nowadays. He says, Words have no power to impress the mind without the exquisite horror of their reality. Oof. Large size. Oof. Someone needed to hear that. Let me go ahead and say it again. Words have no power to impress the mind without the exquisite horror of their reality. So, what I take away from that is you can't unplug from the matrix. You can't unplug from the gambling. You can't unplug from the alcoholism. You can't unplug from the porn. You can't unplug from dumping money into your cars. You can't unplug from the PS5, from the Xbox until you understand and accept the exquisite horror that you're wasting your damn life. There was so long where I wanted to start this podcast. I just didn't. And it wasn't until I looked myself in the mirror like, you're wasting your life. That second you just got by, it's gone. It's not going to come back. That last 10 seconds, it's gone. Oh, wait, another second's gone. Oh, wait, another second's gone. Oh, wait, another second's gone. That's 3 seconds closer to death, and you will never get that time back. Until you accept that reality, which is scary, nothing that you want to do is actually going to stick. So many people want to be better husbands. So many people want to be better wives, better mothers, better fathers, better brothers, better sisters, better friends, better boyfriend, better girlfriend, just a better person. But until you accept the horror that you are not where you want to be, and that you have significant flaws that you need to fix, that you are addicted to the wrong things, that you think that some like, some share, that's a shadow on the wall, his reality. Until you accept that, you will never change. And a lot of people say that nowadays in relationships, well, you can't force someone to change. Someone has to change for themselves. They have to want to change, right? That's true, and you hear that, but let's make it a little bit more real. Someone won't change until they understand the reality of the situation. Because wanting to change is one thing. A lot of people want to do a lot of things. I want $1 million. I want a Corvette C8. I want a Lamborghini. I want 2 motorcycles. I want to buy a new house. There's a whole lot of things I want. I want to live on an island. That doesn't mean I'm accepting the reality of what it takes to live on an island. It doesn't mean I'm accepting the reality that if I buy a Corvette, I'm possibly going to have an $800 or how much, well, probably, yeah, with insurance, and then the cost of the car, probably looking $700 to $800 a month. Until I'm willing to accept that, I'm just not going to get what I want. So guys, when you say you want to do something and you want to be a better person and you want to go on a hike and you want to unplug from the matrix and you want to do all these things, it won't mean nothing until you accept it, until you accept the reality of what it means to do that. So that is today's episode. I appreciate you dialing in. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Working on getting these on all streaming platforms, so please be patient. I really do appreciate it, guys. The small support I have. Hopefully this stuff makes sense, and hopefully I can talk to someone. I can reach out to someone. Someone hears these words and it just sticks and it makes sense. But I can do my best. But upcoming episodes, I'm going to be getting into Dante's Inferno and the Layers of Hell. I'm going to be getting into more Edgar Allan Poe quotes. Then I'm going to get into the Odyssey and the Sirens with Odysseus. So any of my historical literature friends, you guys may get excited by that one. I'm also going to, I wouldn't say react, I'm going to comment on songs that are done by, for lack of better words, political rappers or political artists who make music about the current standings of the globe. Some of them make some very strong statements that I think need to be heard. Because obviously they're not Drake, they're not Rihanna, they're not Luke Bryan, they're not Madonna or Lady Gaga, so they don't have that traction. But again, guys, I do appreciate it. This is Tyler Smith with Intrinsecus, and I'll see you guys next time.